My name is James Brennan. I represent the 44th Assembly District in Brooklyn. I chair the Cities Committee in the Assembly, and I'm a senior member of the Committee on Corporations, Authorities, and Commissions in the State Assembly. Also, my district includes Park Slope and Flatbush and Prospect Park. Prospect Park is just a few blocks south of the eastern edge of your rail yards. So I'm here to discuss your duty not to squander your assets and your duty to be a good neighbor. In relation to squandering your assets, the Public Authorities Accountability Act of 2005, which applies to the MTA, requires an independent appraisal of the disposition of your assets, which this proposed agreement is, and I do not see any independent appraisal of the property in relation to the arena or the remainder of the property, the yards and so on, as part of this agreement, and I suggest to you that you should complete an independent appraisal of the value of the assets prior to voting today, and so I urge you to hold over this particular proposal. I know that this proposal is executory, and so in addition, the ESDC modified general project plan, which was discussed yesterday, has several months worth of public hearings yet to take place, and so it is there is time for you to do what is required by law and complete an independent appraisal. When this project was bid back in 2005, I believe the Extel Corporation offered you funds in excess of what Forest City Ratner offered to you at that time. Just expressing my own opinion as to squandering your assets, I believe you are doing so with respect to this agreement. You are, instead of $100 million, you're taking $28 million over the first 7 years, and then the agreement involves a quid pro quo per development parcel in relation to your sale of air rights for 15 years from 2016 to 2031. Let me suggest to you that that element of the proposal is utterly speculative. The original proposal of the Atlantic Yards project included luxury housing and commercial office development and hotel. That no longer exists as a piece of this project.
If you would please summarize your comments.
Okay, well, I'll summarize. In relation to your duty to be a good neighbor, you are having the community that I represent and hundreds of thousands of people that surround the yards be subjected to 22 years of construction. And I would suggest that that's not fair to the community, and I urge you to reconsider this, not do it, and get your appraisal done, and consider a request for proposal in relation to the yards. Let me just point out also, just very briefly, the New York City Independent Budget Office, in its testimony at the Senate Corporations Committee back on May 29th, stated that the arena, in its preliminary analysis, which is going to complete, that the arena is a boondoggle. It is not a cost benefit to the city or the state of New York because government outlays in relation to the infrastructure contribution exceed the city and the value of tax benefits to the city and state over the next 30 years. So it's a boondoggle. I suggest you reconsider your intention to vote on this today with an appraisal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is the Honorable Letitia James, member of the New York City Council, who will be followed by Daniel Serrano, representing Senator Bill Perkins.
First, let me congratulate all you new mothers and fathers. That is true, real girl power. I really want to thank you. My name is Letitia James, and I represent the rail yards and the communities that will be impacted by this proposed project. Someone once said that the most effective way to restrict democracy is to transfer decision-making from the public forum to unaccountable institutions. The taxpayers bailed out the MTA, and now the MTA bails out a wealthy private developer. By bailing out Forest City Ratner, you are only increasing private wealth. By failing to engage in a real cost-benefit analysis, you disregard the financial cost to taxpayers, your writing public, and the very end, I seriously question the now very limited and disappearing public benefits. By approving this bailout, when the MTA is considering closing subway booths in my district, cutting service, and laying off workers, you violate your fiduciary duty to bondholders and the writing public. How can you sell off a valuable public asset without market value, without considering market value? Where is the promised state-of-the-art rail yard, which was the basis for your original agreement to see the yards, for selling the yards for less than it was on the open market? How can the Long Island Railroad continue to operate with limited capacity? Does this new agreement not violate every basic and sound business judgment rule because it is one-sided and does not, in fact, represent the best interest of New Yorkers, bondholders, and the writing public? What about the open space and the associate jobs? What about in terms of public policy, one of the most basic public policies and fundamental policies as far as I am concerned, the need for affordable housing? This proposed project reduces the amount of affordable housing to a mere 300. This is really about a public arena and not affordable housing, which in the district that I represent is the most pressing need. Every day, my office is flooded with constituents who are being evicted and displaced from downtown Brooklyn, and the state of New York should not put at its major priority a public arena. The choice is yours today, but the choice will be ours tomorrow. I urge all of you to invoke your independent and sound judgment and reject this lopsided deal. This is the only time that I've ever agreed with the New York Post. It's an outrageous giveaway. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. Next speaker, Daniel Serrano, representing Senator Bill Perkins.
Thank you for having me. My name is Daniel Serrano. I am a staffer, Director of Public Policy for Senator Perkins. Can't be here today, very busy in Albany. He asked me to read to you. Perhaps you read about it. He asked me to read this statement on his behalf. As chairperson of the New York State Senate's Committee on Corporations, Authorities, and Commissions, I have had the opportunity to review the public record, engage in private briefings with ESDC staff and other legislators, meet advocates pro and con, and also to chair a public hearing regarding the Atlantic Yards project. It is clear that this project no longer resembles the project that was originally approved. It will not and cannot provide anywhere near the level of public benefits that were originally claimed. As things stand, the developer has managed only to exacerbate blight at great expense to taxpayers. Much of the controversy surrounding Atlantic Yards has been aggravated by a chronic lack of honesty, transparency, and accountability. This proceeding today is an example. Last week, I submitted a letter to Helena Williams, MTA's acting ED and CEO. It was a very simple, direct, clear, concise letter. In the letter, I asked some very basic, fair, logical questions and asked for a written response. I had the opportunity to listen to Ms. Williams' testimony at the hearing, and she struck me as an intelligent and poised individual. With all due respect, I am certain that Ms. Williams understood the basic concepts, what it was that was being asked in the letter. If not, I am certain that the MTA has ample staff, certainly in the General Counsel's office, who could have assisted to understand and to draft an appropriate response. I did receive correspondence from Ms. Williams, but I cannot call her letter a response, as it was, in fact, unresponsive. Ms. Williams, on behalf of the MTA, refused to answer, address, or even acknowledge the very basic fundamental questions that I asked in that letter. Those questions, verbatim, are as follows. Number one, why is MTA renegotiating terms with Forest City Ratner rather than demanding performance or rescinding the agreement and reissuing the RFP in order to determine whether there are interested parties?
If you would please be briefing your summary.
I will.
Appreciate.
I will. I'm going to run through the questions so that you can have the benefit of thinking about them, and then I will sum up. 4 more questions. Very simple. In renegotiating the terms, number 2, in renegotiating the terms, did MTA consider that most of the alleged public benefits it considered in 2005 have since substantially diminished or vanished altogether? 3, has the MTA contracted an independent appraiser to appraise the Vanderbilt yards to determine their fair market value? If not, why not? what is the current fair market value of Vanderbilt Yards? Number 4, given that the new agreement will be substantially and materially different from the original, making it a new agreement, does not the Public Authorities Accountability Act of 2005 now apply? And, this is critical, impose a fiduciary duty on MTA board members and require that the sale of the property be for fair market value supported by an independent appraisal? If not, why not? Number 5, what are Forest City Ratner's obligations to the MTA if the deal closes but the developer fails to proceed with the project? That's it. Those were the simple, easy questions that Ms. Williams refused to answer, the questions that the MTA simply cannot bring itself to answer in a forthright way.
Sir, if you would please conclude your remarks.
The MTA board members today are urged to consider their fiduciary duty to the public and not to the developer, and to vote in good conscience. Thank you.